What do we usually imagine when we hear the words, the Earth, this round globe? How do we know this is really true? From photos we saw on the internet, roughly 600 people have flown into space in human history. Are you one of them?
It's nothing to me.
I'm not a NASA employee either, and I get my view of the universe from the media and scientific articles. I've never actually had the opportunity to see our planet from space with my own eyes. Our civilization seems to be quite advanced, but we're still debating the shape of the Earth. What if we're really wrong on this issue? What if we don't even feel like checking it out just because we have the idea of a round planet stuck in our heads? In this video, we'll find out, can we be deceived about the real shape of the Earth? Does gravity really exist? And most importantly, we'll get to the bottom of the burning issue of the day. Is the Earth round or flat? If you're afraid that a secret world government will find out that you're watching this video, use a VPN. Atlas VPN is a convenient tool that encrypts your data. It connects your device to a VPN server, giving you a new IP and DNS address. Did you know that in Albania, for example, only 3% of all Netflix series are available? Can you imagine how many things are kept hidden from you in your country? Atlas VPN allows you to circumvent restrictions and gives access to all content on Netflix, Disney+, HBO, and other streaming platforms and websites from any part of the world, even if you live on the far side of the flat Earth. Atlas VPN supports access from an unlimited number of devices simultaneously, and Riddle subscribers get a huge 86% discount on a 3-year deal. Click the link in the video description below and join for just $1.39 per month. In addition, you'll get a 30-day money-back guarantee. The discount is valid all over the Earth, whatever shape it has. Why is it so difficult to prove whether the Earth is round or flat? We've never seen our planet from space, so all we know about it reflects what we were taught since childhood. The Earth is a spherical planet that's located in the solar system and orbits a star. The model of a flat Earth places our planet at the center of the universe, but it doesn't assume that the Earth orbits the Sun. Rather, in this model, the Sun rotates around the upper edge of the world like a merry-go-round, radiating light and heat down like a desk lamp. According to this version, our planet is a disk with the North Pole at its center, and Antarctica is a wall formed at its edges. That's why many years ago, a round-the-world voyage was so called, since it was considered a voyage around a huge circle, but not a sphere. In this version of world construction, east and west are not straight lines, but circles around the center of the Earth. The hypothesis regarding our planet's spherical shape dates back to Aristotle's time. That is, it predates the theory that the Earth could be flat. A spherical Earth was first mentioned in the 3rd century BC by a Greek scientist named Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes lived in Egypt, in the city of Alexandria. He was smart enough to compare the position of the sun's rays from a point straight above a person's head to the zenith point. But he did it in 2 cities at the same time, Alexandria in northern Egypt and Siena in the south. Eratosthenes knew that at noon on the summer solstice, which occurs around June 22nd every year, the sun illuminated the entire bottom of a well without casting any shadows. That is, at that time when the sun was directly overhead. But in Alexandria, at that moment, the sun was not at its zenith, but 7.2 degrees off from the zenith. And he made all these measurements with just a scaphus. Just so you understand, it's an angular measuring instrument, a vertical pole fixed to the bottom of a hemispherical bowl. It's hard to say how much the data of this device can be trusted, but that's how the idea of a round Earth first came about as far as we know. The most important experiment that could confirm the Earth's hypothesized flatness was carried out back in the 19th century by one Samuel Rowbotham. He chose a straight and slow-flowing 6-mile drainage canal and called it the Bedford Level. As far as he was concerned, if the Earth were really round, within these 6 miles, the Earth had to curve 7.32 meters below his line of sight. Rowbotham stood at one end of the Bedford Level, while another man in a small boat rowed slowly away from him. A 5-foot mast was attached to the boat, so of course by the other end of the Bedford Level Canal, the mast shouldn't have been visible, as the top of the mast would be 3.35 meters below Rowbotham's line of sight. Rowbotham observed the boat through a telescope set up 8 inches above the water, and the small vessel remained constantly in his view along the entire length of the Bedford Level, after which he concluded that the Earth was flat. The experiment worked, but the debates continue raging to the present day. And with the development of science, the version of the round Earth became firmly established. So how did the debate regarding the Earth's shape hit a dead end? There are 2 supposed views in this case regarding why we're held to the Earth's surface without drifting or shooting off into outer space. They are gravity and gravitational pull. Both phenomena are scientifically proven, but one of them plays in favor of the round Earth theory, while the other one is said by some to support the flat Earth theory. Let's consider the basic arguments of both versions. The main argument for the theory that our planet is shaped like a sphere is the presence of gravity. Back in the 1850s, astronomer James Clerk Maxwell, using mathematical calculations, determined that gravity pulls equally from all sides of our planet. That explains why all the planets are spheres, and the existence of a disc-shaped planet is impossible. But nobody ever really saw that immeasurable force that causes an apple to fall from a tree, the moon to orbit the Earth, and all the planets to orbit the sun. Maybe it doesn't exist at all. The model of the flat Earth excludes gravity, but doesn't exclude gravitational pull. The Earth, in this case, is said to be constantly moving at a speed of 9.8 meters per second squared. This consistent motion causes a force similar to what we call gravity. Due to the fact that the disk moves at that speed, it'll be like we're held down to the Earth. That is, objects will fall to the Earth not due to gravity, but because of gravitational pull that will lower us and all other objects to the Earth. But geophysicist James Davies claims that's just impossible. Because in this conception of the Earth, it's not clear what kind of force would hold the sun and the moon above the Earth, because, for example, they could crash into each other while moving. He considers that the sun in that case should be smaller than the Earth to avoid the Earth being burned, or to avoid it hitting our planet, or even the moon. However, we know that the sun is more than 100 times the diameter of the Earth. But this debate doesn't end there either, because there hasn't been a single manned mission to the sun in human history. And as nobody's seen it with their own eyes, the flat earthers might say that we may not know the real size of our star. That's when the debate hit a dead end, because both versions are logical. So then why did the version of the round-shaped Earth win the race? If we assume that we were made to believe the Earth is round, what's the use? The model of the spherical planet, which is situated among the scary, unexplored realms of space, is truly quite beneficial. If you stuff a bunch of people in a bunker in peacetime and make them think there's a zombie apocalypse outside, they're unlikely to poke their nose outside the door, and it'll be much easier to control them in this enclosed space. Ever since the time of the space race during the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States, spaceflight became not just a scientific endeavor, but an obsession of each of the two great powers to overtake each other, to such a degree that each of them sometimes falsified their accomplishments. While initially there was some political expediency involved in all this, after the end of the Cold War, space missions had become a source of considerable income. A significant percentage of a country's budget gets spent on space exploration, missions to the moon, and quite possibly the misrepresentation of space travel data. But if we assume that the Earth is really a disk that is surrounded by an ice wall that holds in the oceans, then all you have to do is swim across the ocean, cross the wall, and voila, you're in outer space. Who knows? It may well be that there's something beyond these ice limits that in actuality is advantageous to hide from us. Perhaps there's some kind of a deity. Maybe it's access to the multiverse, or even a portal to go beyond a simulation that is our reality. Who knows? We haven't seen it with our own eyes. The intricate model of a spherical Earth doesn't allow for many people to fly into space so often, while on a disc-shaped planet, such space travel should be much, much easier. It turns out that lying about the Earth being round could theoretically be very advantageous to some. If that's the case, how can it be that we're prevented from learning the truth about the Earth's shape? Well, first, all scientific and academic papers and all discussions in popular culture refer only to the round version of our planet. And second, anyone who thinks the Earth is flat, for example, the rapper known as Bob, is called mad. We could just be being deprived of an opportunity to learn the truth, even by accident. And third, there's all the equipment and other such technological items, virtual maps, navigation devices, and, of course, photos. Photos taken from aircraft are affected by barrel distortions as they're taken through the curved glass of an airtight cabin, and also due to atmospheric conditions outside the craft. According to the flat earthers, these give the illusion of a curved horizon. And fourth, regarding photos from space, how do you know it's not Photoshop or 3D animation? We don't have any pictures taken by an ordinary, impartial person who's not an employee of a big space corporation. Overall, the space sector is controlled by governments, and not a single ordinary person is able to go to space. That's number 5, by the way. Although there was one man who tried. 63-year-old Mad Mike Hughes decided to launch himself into space. He planned to launch his steam rocket to an altitude of 1,525 meters from a location in the desert northwest of Los Angeles. But after takeoff, something went wrong and the rocket hit the ground. Mike Hughes didn't make it. But there's one very important factor involved here. Hughes was trying to prove the flat Earth theory by taking high-altitude photos that would show there's no curvature of the planet. What if people who've wanted to know what was behind the so-called wall in Antarctica have also experienced such pushbacks? And maybe that's why we've never learned the truth. We never actually saw what's there in Antarctica. So, what does the Earth really look like? When I got into it, I suddenly realized it appears that I may have become part of this conspiracy without meaning to. All the 5 above-mentioned manipulation methods worked on me as well. I've been running this YouTube channel about space and other things for 7 years now. But maybe real space has never truly been shown. These shots right here are some stock videos I downloaded from the internet, and these thumbnails, all of them totally photoshopped. How do I know what the Earth really looks like if I've never actually been to space? If I can only believe what I've truly seen with mine own eye, then there's no such thing as space. But, my dear viewers, I've never seen you either. What if you don't exist as well, and you've never seen me? So, do I exist? And for that matter, I've also personally never seen Abraham Lincoln, a meerkat, or Helena Bonham Carter with her hair brushed. What if everything is just myth and manipulation? And I've never seen the Bedford Level, Samuel Rowbotham, or any of the other flat earthers with mine own eyes. So maybe they don't exist either. And does that mean they're not going to give my video a thumbs up?